check out the Full Press Hockey Podcast with Jim Biringer, the best in the business. It's going to be great.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jim Biringer. This is a Full Press NHL Podcast. Check it out, iTunes, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Also, please subscribe and watch along here on Full Press Hockey on YouTube. Guys, the NHL season's underway. We had Ryan Payton, our last guest, on. Kick things off. We looked at the offseason. We looked ahead to the new season. No puns here. I was on with Peyton, Bernstein, Pagnotta, Mikey Manor on SiriusXM NHL Network Radio, representing the brand that is Full Press Hockey, that is Full Press Media, Saturday morning. Go check it out up on the app. We talk New Jersey Devils. Guys, the NHL season is here. We're talking goaltending. We're talking games. Dylan Guenther's on fire for the Utah Hockey Club. And man, oh man, I think that's where we got to start. We got to start with the goaltending, right? Jeremy Swayman finally gets his deal. 8 times 8.25 last weekend. We're up in Quebec City watching the Kings, the Bruins, Panthers. Boom, he gets his deal done. It was getting close, right? Last week, we did the video. We'll link it here in the bio. Check it out on the page. Talking about what was it going to be? Was it going to be 8.5? Was it going to be 8.25? Could it be around McAvoy? We knew the Bruins didn't have the money to do around McAvoy. They just couldn't do it. They'd lose too many key players. So what do? They meet in the middle. We know what Cam Neely said at the beginning of last week, 2 weeks ago now. It's like, I'd have 64 million reasons why I'd be playing now. Louis Gross, Swayman's agent, didn't like it too much. Found out that was the first time they've actually offered 8 times 8. Now, cooler heads prevail. Guys, step away from the parties. They go their separate ways. Representatives talk. Players talk. Swayman been training with the Bruins all summer. He wasn't going anywhere. Everybody knew he wasn't going anywhere. That's why nobody offer sheeted him, because they knew the Bruins were going to match it. No one thought he was going to leave Boston. He was working out with BU, and it was just a matter of time before it gets done, right? They needed to get it done before the start of the regular season. The Bruins were going to Florida to play the Panthers. Their opening night, Panthers are going to raise the banner. Stanley Cup's in the house. You're going to do the whole thing with the rings, the banner set, all that. They work it out. Leaving Quebec City, the boys and I, we get the boom. It's there. They're getting it done. Who's going all in? Who's going to push the chips all in, to use the poker phrase? Well, Cam Neely gets to the number. It's $8.25 million. It's the same number as Ilya Sorokin. And at the time, we didn't know Linus Ullmark was going to get signed. And Linus Ullmark gets 4 times $8.25 million from the Ottawa Senators a couple of days later. And, the Senators were just going to take a wait-and-see approach with Ullmark. They didn't think it was going to be a big deal. Like, we'll see how the season goes, bringing him in. But then Mark Mathot makes the little nugget about it. Well, he bought a house in August. He's been here, right? So they think the negotiation is going to go on, because you want to see where the Senators are, right? Too much hype around them over the last couple of years. They say, hey, we're going to make the playoffs, but they're not using the P word. Travis Green's there. They get the goaltender. They give him the new extension. He's looking great for the Senators, by the way. But back to Swayman in Boston. He knew they needed him. He's their number one guy. Korpisalo, unless goaltending coach Bob Essenza can get him right between the ears and get the play up, it wasn't going to work out. Jim Montgomery had already said Korpisalo starting game 1. They work out the signing bonus structure. They get the AAV to one of the top 4 active goalies now, being paid the highest. You have Sergei Bobrovsky, $10 million, Vasilevsky, $9.5, Connor Hellebuck, $8.5, and now here we got Sorokin, Ullmark, Swayman, all in that category. Jamie McLennan speaking with NHLRumors.com and RG.org, responsible gambler. He said there's top 8 goalies, right? You have Igor Shesterkin, Sergei Bobrovsky, Andrei Vasilevsky, Ilya Sorokin, UC Saros, Connor Hellebuck, is Thatcher Demko in there, Jake Ottinger. Well, now Swayman's getting paid like a top 8 guy. Ullmark's getting paid like a top 8 guy. I think you would have to throw Ullmark in there as maybe top 10 as well, because what he did in Buffalo before he went to Boston, what he's done in Boston, Vezina Trophy, now he's going to do it with the Senators. So Swayman did his part in the goalie market, right? This is why, at the beginning of this, we want to look at this goalie market, right? Because he said he was going to reset the goalie market. He never said it was going to be based on AAV. Everybody assumed it was going to be based on AAV. It was based on guys and goalies coming up being paid on potential, because every other position gets paid on potential and gets long-term extensions and big money. Quentin Byfield, that was a short-term deal. He'll get his longer-term extension later on. He kind of went the Matthews way of things, but Matthews got paid. Dylan Guenther just got paid. He's got 5 goals now in the first couple of games for the Utah Hockey Club. He's on a mission. You look at it and you say, all right, well, if defensemen and forwards are getting paid for potential, why aren't goalies? The norm's 5 times 5. Joey Decor just got that. Kyle Peterson, Jack Campbell, all the best to Jack Campbell, who's in the NHLPA player assistant program. Darcy Kemper got 5 times 5. So that kind of was the norm, 5 times 5, 4 times 6, get in the 7s. Barry Trotz won a negotiation with Saros. Again, everybody can point, well, Connor Hellebuyck makes this, Vasilevsky's the Rangers, and Shesterkin, and we'll get to that in a minute. But, everybody's saying, oh, well, Swayman can't be in that. Well, say Connor Hellebuyck's up this season. What if he's up last off season? He's getting 10. Is he getting 9.5? They got him in 8.5. And bring it to the devil aspect of this. Oh, it could go after Swayman. Oh, really? Because if New Jersey didn't want to go after Hellebuyck at 8.5, why were they going to go give Swayman 8.5? They got Jacob Markstrom, their guy. They got him Calgary to eat 31%, $6 million salary, cut down to $4 million. If you keep him a couple of more years, maybe you get him in the $6.5, $7 million range. Seems like Brodeur is the standard still when he was making $8 million. I know times change, but the goalie market doesn't. So Swayman did his job, because now what's Jake Ottinger going to get? When Thatcher Demko's up, what's he going to get? Not too many got other guys coming along, but we saw what Joseph Wall got up in Toronto. So, when guys come along, now Swayman says, okay, I want to be paid on potential. I know I only paid 132 games, but there's guys that played less games than me at other positions and are going to make him more money. I think he's one of the top goaltenders in the league. He's going to make Boston better. He already proved it against the LA Kings on Saturday. It was all about Jeremy Swayman. Gives up 1 goal. Save percentage, 968. I mean, he was unbelievable. Needs some help in front of him with the D, the communication. Pasternak with the OT winner. So Boston, Jeremy Swayman, he resets the goalie market. The other guy looking to reset the goalie market is Igor Shesterkin in New York. And speaking with some sources, I've been told that he wants to be the benchmark. He doesn't want to be passed, and he wants to be the highest paid goaltender and highest paid Ranger. Now you look at it, Artemi Panarin makes around $11.64. Is it $11.7? Is it $12 million? Kevin Weeks, good friend, good colleague, friend of the show, reported earlier in the week he rejected it 8 times. $11 million AAV for $88 million. Was it structured right? The Rangers don't have a problem making him the highest paid goaltender. Whether it's $12 million, it's $12.5, he's going to go past Carey Price. Carey Price is $10.5 million. We know what he wants. Was the deadline, is it a hard deadline? I don't know. It seems like you can negotiate. The window's still open, right? He said, oh, well, first game of the season, which was Wednesday, we're not going to talk anymore. The lines of communication are still open. But the Rangers have salary cap problems, right? They do. They do have salary cap problems. You look at it, Alexis Lafreniere is going to need a new contract. Well, if Dylan Guenther's doing what he's doing, he's getting $7.1 million. And Benier's just got $7.1 million. He's going to get 8 times 8, as Frank Saravalli said. And as I was talking to a good colleague of mine, Trey Matthews, during the Devils home opener on Thursday night, Lafreniere's going to get $8 million. Like, the market's been set for him to get $8 million, maybe a little bit more, because of his production. So you say, okay, well, Carey Price is no longer active. If he was considered the best goalie, well, what's Shesterkin? Well, he's definitely the best Ranger. Yes, he's off to a slow start. A lot of goalies are. Offense is up. But the expectations are going to be high if you get paid $11, $7, $12 million. You're going to hear it. And, you still got to move out Trouba, Keandre Miller. He's good in the playoffs. We know that. And that's where he makes the money, right? Playoffs. Got to 2 Eastern Conference Finals. Hart Trophy finalist, Vezina Trophy winner. Yeah, it's off to a slow start. Okay, a couple games. Big deal. You know what? The Rangers play 2 games in a couple of days. So, and Utah's a good team. But yes, you have Jonathan Quick there. But Shesterkin is going to get paid the highest amount of goalies ever made. Is it going to be $1.5 million more than what Carey Price makes? We're going to find out. A lot of teams are hesitant to do this, but with the salary cap going up, the Rangers could afford it. Will they want to do it? Is the real question. I know they would try to get him on the cheap. It isn't going to happen. Not if, everybody thinks he's the best goalie in the NHL. I mean, NHL Network ranked him that way. Sergei Bobrovsky's got a Stanley Cup. Vasilevsky's got a couple of Stanley Cups, and you look at it, and Bobrovsky, $10 million, only $10 million goalie to win a Stanley Cup. Carey Price got there. Vasilevsky's new contract kicked in, I believe, at the end of Tampa's run, or either second cup or third trip to the final in 3 years. So that's when he started making 9.5. But he's still a good goaltender. Hollebuck, 8.5. But none of those guys got cups, right? Like, none of those guys. Sorokin got his deal right away. What did he do? And that was the point by Jeremy Swayman. So Shesterkin's going to say, well, I've been in 2 conference finals, Vezina, all this stuff, what these other guys do. So he's going to be the highest paid goaltender. Let's see if he's the highest paid Ranger. He feels, and his camp feels, that he's the most valuable Ranger. So, he wants to be the benchmark. No one wants to pass him. And he wants to be that way for a long time because everybody thought Carey Price was the best goalie in the NHL for a very, very long time. So that's where we stand with the goalie market. Like I said, Joey Daccord got his as well. As the season moves on, it was funny because Florida opens their Stanley Cup raising banner ceremony, and we knew they had some work to do, get some guys like Sam Bennett signed, Aaron Ekblad, Carter Verhaeghe, and then what do? Bill Zito and the Panthers after the game announced that Carter Verhaeghe 8 years times $7 million. I call him Mr. Playoff for a reason. Steve Goldstein has stole that from me, but that's okay. We laughed about it. But it's a good deal for him. He comes up good in the playoffs to go with that core. Right, Matthew Tkachuk, Alexander Barkov. He's only going to be out a couple of weeks now. Is Barkov because of the injury sustained against Ottawa, lower body? We know it looks like a leg injury, but at least it could have been a lot worse than it was. But Verhaeghe's got to step up his play for the Panthers. Look, head coach Paul Maurice was telling me, when we were in Quebec City, that he knows his team's going to be the hunted. He knows other teams are going to try to play physical, play that style of game that the Panthers like to play. Jim Hiller, the LA Kings, called the Florida Panthers the standard of how teams are supposed to play in the playoffs and in the regular season, the hardworking style. And Maurice said they may not be the most talented, but they're going to be the hardworking team, and that's what they are. I mean, right now it's a little bit of a struggle. Are they going to get back to a final? It's going to be tough. You got to have the right mindset, as he said. You have to say to yourself, okay, we can't be privileged. It's going to be no nights off. It's not going to be easy. It's not supposed to be. But the adversity that they've faced throughout last couple of seasons can help them through this patch. Remember, last year they had some injuries at the beginning of the year. They were fine later on. Bobrovsky's going to be fine. This team is just, there's a lot going on right there. So the Panthers will be fine. Utah's off to a great start. Everything will be fine at Edmonton, right? I mean, look, they got off to a slow start last year. I don't think anybody expects them to get off to the same slow start this year. We saw what happened opening night. I think we're underestimating Winnipeg a little bit. At least I wasn't sure what to make of them because of, expectations, what they did in the offseason, not a lot of improvements. But we saw that with Bill Zito 1 year in Florida. Sometimes no change is a good thing for your team. As we saw, they don't do anything. Connor Hellebuck's there, Mark Scheifele, Kyle Connor. That team's rolling. They got a great third line with Mason Appleton, got Adam Lowry on that team, Nito Niederreiter. So that team is starting to roll. And that's something you want to see. And that means it makes the Central harder because, Dallas is there. Colorado's got goalie problems, right? Go back to the goaltenders. But you look at it, they just pick up Kaapo Kähkönen off waivers. Alexander Georgiev didn't look great in their first game. Again, it's one game, but he didn't look great. And that's been an issue for them, right? No second-line center. Let's see what Casey Middlestat can be. Gabriel Landeskog still has a long, long way to go to come back from his injury, despite what they said in the summer. He has a setback. And, Colorado hopes that he comes back this season. We'll see. It's going to be tough for him. Let's be honest. It's going to be tough. Tough injury to come back from. But they need better goaltending. Defensively, they got to play better in front of their goaltender. Georgiev was okay. Like, he hasn't been great. And he was the reason why Seattle beat Colorado a couple years ago. Same with Dallas last year. Maybe Kakinen settles things down for this team. So we're going to see what happens out there out west. I love LA, what LA's been doing. Kopitar with the Hattie. They're grinding out some wins. Obviously, they lost in Boston. Byfield's going to be a player this year. You look around the league and you see some trends. Pittsburgh still looks old, but they got to win against the Detroit team that's, still, again, everything is so early that you don't want to overreact. Like up in Montreal, I think Samuel Montembeault, again, it's goalie heavy centric here today on the Full Press NHL podcast as we open the season. But Samuel Montembeault and what he's done for the Montreal Canadiens. Look, this team used to be about Carey Price and everything running through Carey Price. Now it's a team playing as a team and getting good goaltending from Samuel Montembeault, who's been there through the system. And he gives them stability back there. Maybe they try to add a veteran. You got Caden Primo. Maybe let's see if he settles into everything. But the goalie situation in Montreal is fine. They don't need anything. Maybe a veteran guy to come in there, settle things down if they need take time away from Montembeault. Lane Hudson looks great. Cole Caulfield's got a bunch of goals now, wearing the tribute to Johnny Gaudreau. Slavkovsky's looking good. Suzuki. They're up and down. That team looks really, really good. So the Montreal Canadiens are going to make some waves. Toronto's starting to get it together. They're playing well. Anthony Stolar, shout out to New Jersey. Again, the goalie-centric, but their depth scoring, that's something they finally have. I think their bottom six is going to be really well. Steven Lorenz plays really well. Max Pacioretty's still weird to see him in a Toronto Maple Leafs uniform. But I like what he's bringing to the team. New Jersey's got a third line that could play with Paul Cotter, Stefan Nason, Eric Holla. Their defense, look, they're still waiting for Brett Pesci to come back. Luke Hughes to come back. Seamus Casey's filled in nicely. The Devils, they're doing some things that are well. Again, go check out SiriusXM NHL Network Radio for my thoughts on the team. Again, they finally have a goaltender that they desperately needed, and they're getting the saves that they need to win some hockey games. And Buffalo, I mean, look, they're, as we record, they were winning against the Stanley Cup champions, but they got to find some more offense. They need to get good goaltending. They need to get some wins down there, or else that hockey market that's so very good it's going to turn quickly, and the mindset, the continuous losing is going to be a problem. And then let's just head out to Vegas, because that Jack Eichel's new team, that top line, Barbashev, Stone, Eichel, really, really dangerous. Luck with their defenses. Again, it's still so early because we don't know what teams really are right now. Give me 10, 20 games, and we can look at everything. But again, if New Jersey's going to take steps, they got to beat teams they're supposed to beat. And you just look around and all these divisions right now, it's just so early. Vancouver's got defensive issues where they need to work on some things. They got goalie issues. Again, goalie-centric heavy right now. Is it DeSmith? Is it Arthur Sivas? When Thatcher Demko coming back? Same with Pittsburgh. Yeah, Bloomquist started again for the Pittsburgh Penguins against Toronto Maple Leafs. There are question marks about Tristan Jarry. So if we look at the season and we can tie this thing up in a nice bow a little bit, and bring it all together, you look at it and you say, the goalie is the most important position. Rob Simpson told us here when we looked at Vancouver, goalie. Name of the game should be goalie, not hockey, because if you don't have a goaltender, you're out of luck. And this is what the day and age we're living in. These three goalie systems, not the greatest, not the best. You want to have two guys. You want to have a number one like Boston does. Those are the guys that win you games. Stanley Cups. We've seen the trend go back and forth, but you got to have a good team in front of you. Again, it's still early. You can't really pinpoint what teams are supposed to be doing, but I could tell you one thing, that the Utah Hockey Club, without the distractions of this building, ownership, what's going to happen, are we moving? The fact that they're able to focus in on hockey, this is why the hype is real around Utah. The hype is legit. They could be a playoff team and a player in the Central. So we're going to find out. And hopefully we get to interview one of a former Devil for the Full Press NHL podcast, working some things out. A little teaser here for that. So hopefully we can grab somebody from the Utah Hockey Club. Talks about what it's like in the city, the craziness, the home opener, all things like that. So it's going to be fun for me, especially because I was always a fan of this player. But we'll see. Still working on the details. Don't want to promise anything. But, hockey is back. We have our first Saturday night action. Leave some comments, leave some questions. Let me know what you think. Up on Twitter at Full Press NHL, Full Press Hockey Podcast on YouTube. Also, Spitball and Sports on Facebook. Get it, iTunes, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. I've been your host, Jim Biringer. We'll be back again real soon. Check it out. We'll have some special guests on, co-hosts from time to time as well. But here we are, back in the New York groove, back in the hockey groove. Jim Biringer, Full Press NHL Podcast. Talk to you later. Enjoy the new season.
Barry Trotz, Nashville Predators, making sure you're listening to Full Press.